Good afternoon. My name is Diamante Walker. I am the Deputy Executive Director of the Urban Redevelopment Authority, and I would like to welcome you to the regular board meeting for the URA on behalf of Executive Director Greg Flistrom, Chairman Sam Williamson. So we have had two special board meetings dedicated to the Lower Hill. Today, we will address standard URA business by way of a regular board meeting. So I want to thank you for joining us, and Chairman Williamson will be with us shortly and we'll convene the meeting. Thank you.
Talk. Hello.
Hello.
I'm gonna figure out my. All right, my video on. I cannot see it. Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yes. All right. So we did the introduction, Sam, and you do have a quorum present. I can tell you that Representative Ed Gainey will not be joining today, but we do have Board Member Powell, Hirsch, and Lavelle on the line.
Great. Well, then, with that said, then welcome to the June 2021 regular board meeting of the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh. We'll officially call the meeting to order. And the first order of business, I believe, is the approval of the minutes from the May board meeting.
It's actually the April board meeting. The May minutes are still in development.
Yeah, sorry, April minutes. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion in multiple seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, I think we have public comment, and I believe there are a number of registrants for live public comment.
Yes, first up is Celeste Scott. I believe, yep, there she is.
Good afternoon.
You have 3 minutes, Celeste. You can start now.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Celeste Scott, and I'm the Housing Justice Organizer of Pittsburgh United, and I'll be commenting on the Housing Opportunity Fund. The Housing Opportunity Fund is a critical vehicle to ensure that urgently needed resources are available to ensure all Pittsburghers have safe, accessible, sustainable, affordable housing. Our housing table is comprised of over 40 organizations and individuals, including residents, citywide, attorneys, CDCs, neighborhood community groups, grassroots activists, practitioners, and more. Those organizations and individuals have been working tirelessly to win and implement this fund. So we have a unique opportunity with the resources coming from the American Recovery Plan to begin to close the 20,000 unit gap in affordable housing for those at the lowest incomes. And we hope that you will help us with this. So we had some annual allocation plan recommendations. Due to the loopholes of the eviction moratorium and its upcoming end, to keep people housed, HSP funds need to allow for moving costs along with the security deposit and or first plus rent. Fair housing criteria should be applied to anticipated outcomes of each program, and the data needed is identified to assess each program on the programmatic end. And below are some concerns that we continue to hear from our resource navigators. I want to preface this with thanking Jeremy and Zatina for continued communication that's been really good. And we wanted to thank the advisory board members who continuously increase meaningful communication with us as well. But we have all seen how this plan can work and create real change when we are all on the same page, working together as advocates, housing opportunity fund staff, advisory board members, and governing board to get resources to those the fund was intended to assist. We have always approached working through barriers and obstacles with the spirit of collaboration and forward movement in service of the many lives this fund was intended to tangibly improve. Accountability and transparency benefits everyone, especially those in more need now than ever of this fund. Respectfully submitted the Housing Justice Table of Pittsburgh United. Thank you.
Thank you, Celeste. That public comment is also in the board packet in written form if you want to reference it throughout the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Phyllis Gafour. Let me find you real quick, Phyllis. Okay, once I see that you're, could you unmute? Okay, you're, hold on, just a little technical difficulty here. Phyllis, I see that you're still on mute. Okay,
Hello?
there you go. Yep, there you go. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure it will not be that long. I was trying to submit a written statement instead of verbal. Sitting still like this for 6 hours really is difficult for me. I wanted to continue some issues I had in part one. I'm going to go as quickly as possible since I did submit something during the last meeting. I'm concerned about the LRTA fund administration, reportedly totaling 40 million. It should be conducted with people needs, with their properties in mind. It's not a real estate experiment to be done by certain parties. There are multiple Hill-serving businesses, churches, nonprofit agencies, and individuals who have sacrificed time and effort to help Hill residents survive, especially during the pandemic. Secondly, the Greater Hill Master Plan was developed by the Hill Consensus Group, not the Hill CDC, and the Hill House Association to guide development reviews. It was not meant to be pulled out and used as a weapon when certain individuals want to do that. Low and very low income individuals need social wraparounds, health infrastructure, public transportation, youth and children programming, so that we can try to move out of this very devastating situation in the Hill, especially Middle Hill. Top-down decisions primarily by Hill governing boards, URA, SCA, CSIP, their management committee, Growth Hill Fund, and the lead CDC have been proven—
Phyllis, you've got 1 minute left.
Right, have been proven to be ineffective in the equitable distribution of resources. There's a need for fact-checking by the URA with regards to statements from the BPG and PAR regarding to the history, policies, and impact in governmental involvement. There needs to be better communication, intra and intercommunication, so that the entire Hill will know what's going on when it goes on. And I'm going to stop right there, but I am concerned that individuals and businesses and nonprofits were left out of this yearly funding mechanism that the Hill CDC wants to do. I really have a problem when one agency is chosen over another. I don't care if it's 4% of the pot, I don't care if it's 2% or anything like that. We can't go through 20 more years of decay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Phyllis. Next up is Thomas Aob. If you're in the meeting, could you please raise your hand? I'm not seeing you in the attendees list.
Daniel, I don't believe that the other three public commenters are present. I don't believe that they'll be giving public comment today. So
Okay.
we can move forward with the meeting.
Okay.
If they are, maybe they can just at some point signal themselves in the chat or Q&A or something.
They can raise their hands.
Okay. Anyone else? Is that
No,
all the
that
public
was all
comment
that
we had?
registered for live public comment.
Okay, and are there no other members of the public who wish to address the board? Looking through the list of attendees, and I'm looking at the chat, and I don't see any raised hands or any notes. So I'll take that to mean that that's all the public comment we have for today. So we'll move on to announcements. Beginning with the commercial lending impact dashboard, I think.
Yes. Mhm.
And is that Jennifer? Are you going to present that?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jennifer Wilhelm, the Director of Commercial Lending at the URA. And this is our monthly dashboard to give you an update on where we stand with our business lending year to date. We have closed 26 loans at the URA. And we're also showing our work at InvestPGH. As you know, the URA staff currently staffs InvestPGH. And so our team does their lending as well. And we've closed 10 loans over there. We are on target to hit our goal of 70 loans across both entities by the end of the year. We have our highlight here, Shadow Benny, a vegan Trinidadian restaurant that's going to be opening in the central north side, hopefully by the end of the summer. They are currently in farmers markets, 3 farmers markets across the city. You can find them, and they sell amazing Trinidadian food. So if you have any questions about this or any of the numbers, just let me know.
Great, thank you. I think we can move on to the housing dashboard. Jeremy, that's you.
Good afternoon. As of this week, we have helped nearly 1,300 households with rental, utility, and mortgage assistance. 70% of the funding has been spent on rental arrears. It's important to note here that while we have been under several eviction moratoria, these do not protect and cover all cases. So we have been preventing evictions since the pandemic for those cases that are not covered under the moratoria. The average time it takes us to prevent an eviction is about 1 week. Our program stands ready to assist with more eviction cases as the federal eviction moratorium is set to expire at the end of the month. To date, we've deployed about $2.3 million in assistance. And related to this, we also now have our legal assistance programs up and running, which provide free housing legal services for tenants and homeowners in the city. I want to acknowledge the public comments submitted today and look forward to having discussions with the community to provide more information and updates. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Jeremy. Any questions before we move on from the board about the housing dashboard? Okay, then I think we can move on to the voting agenda, which is relatively brief this meeting, which probably will be a welcome development after 6 or 7 hours of URA board meetings over the last several weeks. And the first item is in residential lending and investments. It's the Harvard Beatty housing development in East Liberty. I think is Evan, I don't see Evan. Evan Miller is going to present on this, I believe.
Yes, Evan will be
Oh, there
presenting.
you are.
Yep. Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Evan Miller, and I'm with the Residential Lending and Investments Unit here at the URA. And I'm going to discuss Harvard Beatty Housing, a project that's located at 121 North Beatty Street in East Liberty, and specifically authorizations to enter into a $450,000 rental gap program loan with the developer, as well as authorization for the final URA board action that's required for the disposition of this property that's listed there on the slide. The developer and borrower here is Harvard Beatty Housing LLC, which is an entity that was formed by Trek Development Group to carry out this project. The project itself is a 42-unit new construction mixed income apartment building that's going to be constructed on what's currently a URA-owned surface parking lot on the edge of the East Liberty Business District. Of the 42 units, 33 of the units will be affordable, 4 at 20% the area median income AMI, 4 at 30% AMI, 14 at 50%, and 11 at 60% AMI. 9 of the units are going to be market rate. 33 of the units are 1 bedroom, and 9 of the units are 2 bedrooms. So Harvard Beatty Housing is the second project in the last several years that Trek has built in this corner of East Liberty. The first being Mellon's Orchard, located adjacent to this site just north and west. That was also funded by the URA back in 2019 and completed and put in service in late 2020. Mellon's Orchard has 47 total units. 37 of those units are affordable housing. So Mellon's Orchard and Harvard Beatty together represent 89 new housing units in East Liberty, with over 80% developed as affordable housing. For the recently opened Mellon's Orchard project, Trek worked with community organizations, including Penn Plaza Support and Action Coalition, to advertise and do outreach specifically to households that were displaced by the closure and demolition of Penn Plaza. 35% of the affordable units at Mellon's Orchard house former Penn Plaza residents. With Harvard Beatty, Trek has undertaken similar efforts, engaging with Penn Plaza Support and Action Coalition throughout the project's pre-development process. Trek's posted banners at the site specifically highlighting that Penn Plaza residents should apply. They've done social media outreach on Facebook and Instagram, and they've had project info blasted out by the New Pittsburgh Courier in their regular email blasts. So I believe to date, 47 former Penn Plaza residents have joined Trek's interested list for this project, and I think 34 have actually applied to live at Harvard Beatty. So the project itself is a $13.1 million project. In August of 2020, it was awarded 9% low-income housing tax credits by the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, PHFA. This tax credit equity is going to fund 75 to 80% of the total development budget. The remaining gap is filled by a PHFA conventional first mortgage, an allocation from PHFA's FAIR program, and notably, this project is the first project to receive funding from the East Liberty TRID, El Tridra East End Housing Development Program that the URA is actually administering on behalf of El Tridra. So the project received a $500,000 loan commitment from El Tridra back in May. This $450,000 RGP request would be an additional source of soft financing to help bring this project to fruition. And the loan would be sourced by Home 2019 funds. I would have a 0% interest rate, a cash flow note with a 40-year term with a 40-year affordability deed restriction to match. The project's expected to close in August or September and be in service by the end of 2022. I want to note that Bill Beatty, the president of Trek Development Group, is on the call if there's any questions the board may have. But with that, I'm going to turn over for discussion of this loan request and this final disposition authorization for Harvard Beatty Housing LLC.
Thanks, Evan, for that very thorough overview. I was actually going to ask about the Penn Plaza placement, so I appreciate the update there. Bill, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Nothing of note. It was a great presentation. Thank you. And we've had an excellent partnership with Penn Plaza Citizens in Action, and Crystal Jennings over there has done a great job really finding and identifying residents from former Penn Plaza and bringing them back. So that's been a productive partnership that we're proud to be involved with. Also, we had a very robust back and forth with folks at ELDI about the design features and the amenities, and I'm happy where that landed as well. So we're proud of it and we're excited to move forward.
Great. Any questions or comments from the board at all?
No, I was just going to commend Crystal Jennings and everyone else, the URA and the developers for really trying to prioritize Penn Plaza residents coming back into this area. I know when we voted on this initially, that was a big point of contention. So I appreciate and applaud the effort to bring people back and to continue to up those numbers as more units become available.
I second that, and there's a good piece today in Public Source about it too.
Great. So if there are no other questions or comments, then I think a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have moving into commercial lending.
Yes, I can take this.
Okay.
I have two items today. The first being ratification to accept the $1 million investment from FNB, First National Bank, to be used for a new program that we are also launching. So as you may recall, FNB has decided to provide an investment to the URA for $1 million. And this investment will be used in its entirety to fund the new Avenue of Hope small contractor line of credit program. Their dollars are specifically allocated to the Hill District. Out of the 7 avenues, we are going to be using their dollars for the Hill. The URA is going to augment this program with other dollars, which will support the other 6 districts. With the vote today of the ratification of the dollars, it'll also launch this new program, and it will be available today, as of today, for people to apply if it is voted through. Are there any questions on this investment or on the program itself?
So
if
some
I-
of the, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. If I may, I just want to underscore that, and thank Councilman Lavelle for his leadership in making this particular investment from FNB possible. He, made several phone calls on our behalf to be able to get a tool that would start to address some of the small contractor needs, particularly on the lower hill. So thank you, Councilman Lavelle, for making those phone calls and coordinating and facilitating those meetings. And thank you, Jennifer, for helping to pull together a term sheet that would make this possible. I think this is going to be a huge help to our MWBE business community, particularly those that are working in the avenues of hope, where we're starting to see more investment and more development.
Towards that end, thank you, Director Walker, for sort of helping me understand what I was trying to get from FNB when we were having those conversations. I also just want to thank Vince DeLahey, Lisa Kelly, and Brent Semechko. I hope I didn't mess his name up too much.
That's great.
For taking time to actually meet with us, understand what we were trying to get accomplished, and help come up with a resource to do that. So I just want to thank them as well.
So this is a ratification. So I believe the board voted on this a few months ago via email. So I'm not sure, Nathan, if you procedurally what the board needs to do here in order to adopt the ratification, but just want to disclose for the public that the board did vote to approve the program via email a few months ago.
It's best to still have a motion and a vote.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Our second item today is around moving money from the URA to Invest PGH in order to fund a new program that Invest PGH will be rolling out on June 26th. It's called CRIB as an abbreviation, but it is the Child Care Reinvestment Business Loan Program. It'll be a forgivable loan for childcare businesses within the city limits up to $20,000. We are very excited about this. I will mention that when PNC originally invested the $10 million, we had always known that 1.5 would go to support childcare. At the time, we didn't know exactly which entity between the URA and Invest PGH would be best suited to roll out the various components of the childcare support. So the URA had taken on a larger chunk of the dollars, and now, that the program has been developed and is ready to launch, we have decided that Invest PGH is actually the better entity to roll out the forgivable loan. And so we just like to move that money over. It is the money that's always existed for this purpose. There's nothing new or new funding source here. It's really just a pure movement of dollars.
Thanks for that explanation. Also a really critical need in the city to help small childcare providers be able to add capacity and improve their facilities. I mean, only going to get more acute, frankly, over the course of the remainder of this year as more and more people get back to their offices and work from home becomes increasingly a thing of the past. So
Yep.
it seems particularly timely as well.
We're also very excited that we are partnering with technical assistance with Chatham University, and we are also working closely with Trying Together on a potential pilot program that should be rolling out this fall. So there's other components beyond the dollars. And so we're excited about the entire package and how that might really help the industry inside the city.
Thanks. Any other questions?
I had one. Is the funding at all contingent on where they are in the quality system? If they are low, like a 1 or 2 star quality care facility versus a 4 or 5 star, is there additional funding or anything like that?
No, the funding is not based on where they are in the quality stars. This program is open to new and existing, home-based and facility. Of course, the goals of the entire program are to help people move up in the stars, to help increase the number of childcare facilities that are available, and to provide support and recovery for childcare facilities in home-based that have been hurt by COVID. So there are those goals, but no, we're looking at each business that applies individually, looking at what they want to use the money for and what their needs are. As you may know, the city is also launching a separate fund coming up where there'll be additional grant dollars available through their fund for childcare. So we are working very closely together to make sure that people are navigating the opportunities and that we're referring to each other. There's no harm, of course, people will be allowed to apply to both, but we are coordinating closely across the 2 programs.
Any other questions? Was that a beginning of a motion, Councilman? Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So now I think we go to Larmer. Yep. And do we have
everybody.
Sarah? There we go.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. My name is Sarah Shore. I'm with the Housing, Lending and Investments team. Today's agenda item should be pretty straightforward. The project team is looking for board approval on the final drawings and evidence of financing for the Larimer Phase 3 development. As a reminder, this is the last of the Larimer Choice neighborhood projects. The board has seen this project a couple of times, and today is the 3rd and final disposition item that needs approval before construction closing can occur. I know we don't have a lot of time today, but just as a quick recap of the project, this is a mixed use project with 42 units of housing. 33 of these units are affordable. There's also 4,800 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor. In April of this year, the URA Board approved financing for this phase in a total amount of 2.1 million. This included both residential and commercial loans. Today's request is a follow-up from a 2019 board meeting where this board approved a development proposal and the execution of the deed for the conveyance of this property to the Housing Authority. Since then, the Housing Authority has closed on the purchase of the property with the URA. The developer, which is McCormick Baron Salazar, they're working to gain all the city approvals needed for closing, and construction closing is expected to occur in July of this year. The project has involvement with the URA's quality control and inspections team. And just to reiterate, today we are requesting board authorization to accept the final construction drawings and final evidence of financing for this project.
Great. Thank you very much for that overview. Any questions? If there are no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks.
And I think we have Richard Snipe for the next item.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm Richard Snipe, the Deputy Executive Director of the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation. And this afternoon, we are asking for authorization to expand the boundaries for the facade, for our facade improvement program. We're asking to go beyond the current 400 feet radius from our construction projects to include the entire neighborhood. And the reason for that request is we have found that the demand is coming from families who live beyond the 400 feet of our construction projects. And we like to have an opportunity to be able to include more families in the community, to be able to give them an opportunity to improve their homes, as well as also be able to strengthen the community by the facade program. And so we're asking for that expansion from the 400 feet to include the entire neighborhood.
Okay. Do we have any sense of how many additional homeowners will now be eligible?
We've been doing an average mailing of approximately over 200 families. We've been mailing within that 400 feet radius. And what we've come to find is we've got the response so far year to date. We've only been able to actually fulfill four applications. The demand has been somewhere around over 100 people who've asked for help, but we've been not able to do anything because of the restrictions. So we've asked those folks to do in the meanwhile is to be patient. We were going to see if we can get the boundaries extended, but the need is there. It's just that with 400 feet radius, it's extremely restrictive. And we're finding that folks are, 2 streets away, a block and a half away, and we're not able to service them. So that's why we're asking this request. The need is there. We just don't have the means to be able to address it because of current restrictions.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So we'll be able to go back to those, 100 or so applicants we've already received this year and follow up with them.
Yeah, we've kept a waiting list as what we've done.
Great. Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Brighton Heights.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lily Friedman, and I work within the URA's Development Services Unit. Today, authorization is requested to accept the redevelopment proposal and enter into a disposition contract with Allegheny Land Trust in the Brighton Heights neighborhood of Pittsburgh for the sale of 6 vacant parcels formerly home to the St. John's Hospital at the price of $106,900 plus transaction costs. Next slide, please. The total development cost for this project is approximately $1,057,120. The scope of work includes a 3.6 acre vacant green space rehabilitation in an environmental justice neighborhood. The Pasek Park space has been designed through ongoing community engagement processes to manage stormwater with rain garden features, balancing the ecological needs of a high priority watershed while also ensuring recreational function for the community, including a walking pathway. Pictured on the right, you may note the rain garden landscaping plan in the lower rain garden cross section. I can take any questions at this time.
Great. Any questions?
Yeah, just curious, what is, you said environmental justice neighborhood, obviously, you know, I know what environmental justice is, but is this a specific designation for this neighborhood?
Yeah, so the PADEP, Department of Environmental Protection, defines an environmental justice area through a couple different metrics, including census tracts where 20% or more individuals live at or below the federal poverty line, whether there are 30% or more of the population identifying as non-white minorities, as well as ecological factors like access to park space.
Didn't know that, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Any other questions? That's great. Okay, so I think a motion to approve would be in order.
Second.
Motioned and seconded. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then I think we have David Serban on Ferrywood.
Hello, everyone. David Serban, Director of Development Services. Have a project here out in the western side of Pittsburgh, neighborhood of Ferrywood. Had for a long while a project, a bunch of vacant land, a relatively challenging project with some of the topography, but we have for you an opportunity. We hope that we can use this to get authorization to go into exclusive negotiations and have a joint venture with Regional Industrial Development Corporation. That's RIDC. So you see the aerial view from global satellite look. If you can go to the next slide. You'll see that on that site, we're going to join 3 parcels together and then make it usable for a warehousing space. So we think that's a good use of the space, that we were prohibited from using it for any residential use when we obtained that property a few years back. This project has several good things going for it. It's going to give a good return from the public investment, allowing us to use some of those funds in the future to do more affordable housing and reach some of the equity goals that we hope to do. Along with this, on the financial side, it also should bring in some jobs to Western Pennsylvania. So we believe we have an anchor tenant that will add net positive jobs. And lastly, it takes a property that didn't have a tax basis to it. Until we move this forward, it will then be paying taxes, adding to the increment and additional help with some of the budgets. Happy to take any questions for this industrial use of the Ferrywood site.
Can you just describe if you can, sort of the purpose of the joint venture with RIDC and the potential upsides for the URA and the public that result from that?
Sure. So oftentimes we have properties that we just sell to a developer. In this case, we thought we were in a good position to join with the developer to move it forward. We already had the site in hand. We had some negotiations preliminary with an anchor tenant. So we thought we were bringing to the table a number of resources and something to the deal that then we could partner with them. And so it would be a good marriage of different capacities. So it takes, instead of just a smaller fee for land as one part of it, allows us to stay in the deal as a equity partner and thereby get a cash flow for the next few years in any refinancing or future sale.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think this is great. This is a sign of the URA leadership really trying to be innovative in the way we approach these kinds of deals. I mean, this is a parcel that's in a industrial park surrounded by warehouses and other industrial buildings. traditionally, this would be a candidate simply for a sale to some, private for-profit developer that would then itself benefit from the long-term financial upside of the redevelopment. And, here what we're trying to accomplish through this joint venture is to have the URA and the public instead retain some public ownership and be the ones benefiting from the economic upside of the redevelopment.
And if I might add, Sam, I think that it presents an opportunity to get flexible funding that we can then reinvest in the mission investment initiatives of the URA. We are currently handicapped to be able to do that in any sort of nimble, flexible way. And so this, I do think it's a very innovative way to try to get to those ends.
So thank you. Any questions or other comments from the board? So what we're approving is, a different kind of exclusive negotiations, or approving exclusive negotiations to finalize this joint venture under which we would retain ownership as the parcel is developed, as opposed to our traditional exclusive negotiations where we're negotiating just to sell something. So if there are no other questions or comments, then a motion might be in order.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. The motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Which I think takes us to the disclosure agenda. Anything in particular on here that we want to call out or highlight this month?
Most of these items are procedural in nature. I don't think that we want to highlight them for the board and the public, but they are administrative in nature and can be discussed at the board's discretion. But I think you can adopt this in full.
Motion to approve it in its entirety.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Well, I think after potentially setting some records for the longest URA board meetings on record, we might now set a record for the shortest URA board meeting, at least in recent history. So unless there are any good and welfare or other announcements, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting stands adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.